So I used to have 50,000 followers and had $10 to $12,000 online art sales, but then I lost everything. And while attempting to rebuild and rebrand everything, I realized that I was just going about everything completely wrong. Let me explain. Hey guys, welcome back to Image Maker Society. My name is Joel Santana, and if you're new to this channel, I am a working illustrator with 20 years experience. And in this channel, I started this channel to just talk about my faith and creativity. But today, I want to talk to you about a very transparent story. As I mentioned before, I had 50,000 followers and I was generating consistently for quite some time $10,000 to $12,000 a month on online art sales until it all just came crashing down or completely stopped. And a big part of that was that my Instagram account was hacked, completely stolen, and so I lost everything, but Instagram wouldn't really help me recover that account. And so it really felt like everything I had built over time was completely lost. But something else happened around that time. I had surrendered my life to the Lord. I came to know Jesus, and I had even reconciled my marriage at this time. So that's a whole story for another video. But I remember that at this time, I started to rebrand everything, rebuild everything with a new vision, a new heart, new mindset. Even my inspiration, everything was coming from a different place. But here's the problem, and it's something that I didn't realize until more recently. I started to rebuild numbers versus rebuilding what I was called to create. And a lot of times we don't want to say that. We don't want to admit that we're focused on numbers versus on purpose. But maybe I honestly didn't even realize this myself at the time. So I switched over to YouTube because after all, that's how you build an audience, or at least that's what everybody says. It's like, oh, you got to get on YouTube. So I tried different content, different strategies, a whole new approach without really realizing that I was actually chasing that old that 50,000 follower mark, that I was still chasing those old online sales, not realizing that my focus was on that. And so the whole time I'm just thinking, so what's going to work? What's the algorithm going to want to see? What's going to cause the algorithm to push my stuff forward? And with that, of course, lo and behold, the views stayed low and the engagement felt non-existent. And I was just getting more and more frustrated over time. And I want to be careful how I phrase this, because I'm not saying that everything that I posted up until today was completely fake. But what I am saying is that if I could be honest with myself, the motivation behind it was a little off. And then it hit me. I realized, you know what? It's like I'm making things that I think will work instead of working on what I believe I was called to create. So I had been asking the wrong question. I had been wondering, is this going to work? Should I try this strategy? Should I try that? Like what should I be doing? And the truth is that I know exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And in fact, I feel like I've known that for quite some time. But again, if I can be honest, I think that I was just too afraid that it wouldn't get me back to the 50,000, that it wouldn't get me back to the $10,000 and $12,000 online art sales. So it's like if I've been trying to reverse engineer success instead of just walking in obedience, instead of just taking, okay, I know that the Lord gave me this idea. I know that the Lord gave me this story to tell, this series of paintings to create. I just don't know if those things will get me back to the 50,000 followers or to the 100,000 or whatever the case may be, which ultimately boils down to trust. Do you trust God? And asking myself, what is it that God actually put in your heart? What is it that you're supposed to be doing versus what can I do? No, it's not about what should I do to see if it works. What am I supposed to be doing? And why am I not doing that? How much longer are you going to put this off? How much longer are you just going to try things versus just doing the things that you know you were called to do? No matter what the algorithm says, no matter what the trend is, I know that that's Christ-centered narrative art, art that tells a story, paintings and stories, beautiful world building, and all of these things where every piece ultimately points people back to Jesus. Not trying to figure out what's the next teaching content or digital painting tutorial. Not that there's anything wrong with teaching. I do love to teach. I think that what happened was a few years ago, I partnered up with a company called Domestica that I have these courses with, digital painting courses. And to be transparent and honest, it generated a large amount of income for me. And it generated a large amount of income for quite some time. And it just it kind of led me down this path of like, okay, well, this is what's producing something, so I'm going to focus on this. And there's nothing wrong with that because, again, I love teaching, I love pouring into people. But that, without me realizing it, it's not my intention. I think that the financial aspect of that shifted my motivation, shifted my focus. And so here I am at this point where it's like that thing that keeps calling back to me. What is that thing that you're supposed to be doing? Sharing the gospel through my creativity, sharing the gospel through my paintings, through narrative, illustrations, and stories. I want to talk to people. I want to reach people who want the story, want the message in their home. The message, the story that points back to Him. This is the thing that I've been putting off. This is the thing that I'm supposed to be making. This is the thing that I was doubting. Is it going to get me back to where I was? And the fact of the matter is that it's not going to get me back to where I was. I do believe wholeheartedly it's going to take me to a new place. It's going to take me to places that I never even imagined. And I'm not trying to over spiritualize this. I really do wholeheartedly believe it. It's the thing that just keeps coming back. So this is what feels like that fork in the road. Like this is the moment where it's you stop pursuing the algorithm and you start moving forward in obedience. Start moving forward with the ideas, with the vision that God originally gave you. And that is going to take trust, because the fact of the matter is I don't know if this will get me back to $10,000, $12,000 in art sales. That can't be the focus though. But I know that I'll have peace in knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I do know that if I keep making work to try to please the algorithm, and I never reach those numbers, I'll be really unhappy with the work that I had created all throughout that path. But if I focus on doing the work that I know I'm supposed to make, then even if I don't see those numbers in the algorithm, even if I don't reach those goals that I've just kind of fabricated for myself, that social media, kind of that pressure that social media puts on you, even if I don't see that, I'll be happy with the work, with the body of work that I've created up until that point. A collection, a body of work that all glorifies God, and that could all become a book, become a story, become something else. I'm done making content that is just chasing some sort of algorithm machine. And this is where it starts. This empty canvas. And for the first time in a long time, this excites me instead of terrifying me, because I get to pour out the ideas inside me without social media trends, without the influence of this algorithm machine. And if you're interested in seeing this Christ-centered narrative art, these stories that I want to tell, I invite you to join me on this journey. A journey of making work that points back to Jesus, that tells His message, that tells the gospel, that tells truth. Aside from sharing my story, I hope that it gets you to thinking, why am I making the art that I make? Why am I, before you draw something and post it, why are you making that? Is this really coming from a place of authenticity, from a place of what you were supposed to be making, what you were called to make? Or are you focusing more on the results versus on the creativity, on the creation? I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. But until then, I'll see you on the next one. Keep the fire alive, my friends.